Welcome to the show, guys. Got a good one here for you. We are talking NFL Week 4 preview, and fantasy football starts and sits. Going to get you guys fully prepared matchup by matchup here for NFL Week 4. Now, on the YouTube video below, check the timestamps to go to a specific match if you have a particular player, or listen right through, enjoy your coffee, your commute, whatever it is with us. And I've got online here the great and powerful Jimmy Maverick. What's going on, Jim? Welcome to the show.
Hey, counselor. I can't believe we're already at week 4. It seems like just to get to the season takes forever. And then all of a sudden we're already a quarter way through. I mean, I'm just like, what happens to the time? But here we go, man. Week 4. Let's go. Let's do it.
It always works like that, literally, because you're waiting. When's the season coming? I've had enough. I want the season to start. And then when the season starts, you blink and it's like week 4, just like that. It's so fast. And again, that's how exciting fantasy is, because we're so immersed with our lineups, our teams. We're watching football. We're anticipating the other week. So time tends to really fly when you're having fun. You know, that really is true. So let's dive into this, Jim. We're going to go through every matchup here. We're going to talk about, who we think is going to potentially win. We're going to talk about the spreads. We're going to go everything, all the starts and sits. We're going to go over some latest news, get you guys fully prepared. Again, timestamps below here on YouTube. If you're on audio, guys, sit down, buckle up, enjoy, and let's really dive into this, Jim. So Thursday nighter here. Again, we record this on Wednesday. It'll be available for you guys Thursday. Now, if you're listening to this on Saturday, obviously fast forward past this matchup here, but I'm excited about this matchup. We got the Lions, 2-1 Lions on the road at Green Bay, the 2-1 Packers, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, two of my quarterbacks here in a league. I'm in a league with 2 quarterbacks. They're my quarterbacks because I went robust. RB still managed to get these guys, both top 10 potential quarterbacks. I'm excited about this matchup. There's so much fantasy relevance. We got Sam Laporta, breakout game. And I keep telling people, Laporta's an every week starter. He's that safety blanket. He broke out last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, I would say start him. I think the matchup is relatively favorable this week for Jahmyr Gibbs. He has to step it up. And I'm not sure. Have you heard anything on Montgomery? I think was limited in practice. He might be back this week, possibly, right? I don't know if you heard
He might be, but I don't know if I would start him if he is. We got a couple of guys that might be coming back from injury on this game. We got Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, and David Montgomery. I would be inclined to not start those players. We want to see what's going on with them, so if you can, keep them on your bench. Only start them if you're in like an emergency situation. You don't have anyone else. So
last I heard here with Christian Watson, hamstring was listed as limited at practice. This is going back on Tuesday. David Montgomery was estimated to be limited. So that just as limited in practice, all I'm hearing, hamstring for Aaron Jones and Watson. So monitor those situations closely when you're looking at starts and sits. But Jared Goff, if you got him, start him, Love. And again, we're going to talk about some starts and sits. Like guys like Justin Fields have been absolutely crapping the bed at quarterback. If you have a Jordan Love, you definitely want to start him over Fields. Now, we got to talk about this when we get to the Bears game. Fields does have a good matchup, which we'll get to in a second. I personally don't trust him. This is why I emphasized in 16 rounds, secure your team with an ace quarterback, and Herbert was my guy. He's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. So he's been anchoring my team and saving me and pulling me out of some tough weeks here. So let's move on here. So in this one, by the way, Lions, this is literally a coin toss in regards to who wins this one, right? 1.5 point favorite of the Lions right now.
Yeah, I would say that probably Green Bay would be favored here, given that they're playing at home. As far as starts go, I think you're pretty good starting across the board. I wouldn't start A.J. Dillon. Put him on your bench. You can't start him right now. I don't know. The guy doesn't want to play in the NFL anymore, I guess, because this is his contract year and the guy's not doing anything. It's like, dude, you're not going to be in the league next year if you keep playing like this. So, he's got to get it together.
What a damn shame when you look at these guys and you have the opportunity to shine and you just don't. Kind of a waste of talent there. So he's really not as good as we thought. So A.J. Dillon just not performing. All right, moving on here. Now, this is a Sunday morning game. I believe they're playing in London.
It's a London game. So
2-1 Falcons versus 1-2 Jags. This is a strange game because you obviously don't have a home field advantage. We got the struggling Trevor Lawrence. And this is, you and I, we've been right about so much. I don't want to toot our own horn here, but from Sam Laporta's to Tank Dell's to so many correct calls, and then and then Justin Herbert, and I can go on and on. But I just want to talk here about this one. Trevor Lawrence just not performing. I mean, I don't know. What do you think is going on here, Jim? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
he hasn't taken that step. We thought he was in a prime position to really take that next step, become an elite quarterback option, and he has not been able to do it as of yet. I don't know what the problem is. There's some offensive line issues. There are some, I don't know. I don't know why he's struggling so much. Clearly, Calvin Ridley's having some issues too. He's having a lot of drops.
Yeah.
So, all these guys got to get on the same page and, turn it around. I'm not saying they can't do it. But right now they gotta prove some stuff. And as far as this game goes, I'm listening to this game as a bust game. We've got two struggling quarterbacks, and so you want to minimize your exposures on this game. But in a lot of cases, you're gonna start Bijan, you're gonna start Ridley, you're gonna start Etienne. But who else do you really feel comfortable starting? I mean,
No, Drake
Drake
London is not
London,
performing, but I
Kyle
gotta start him.
Pitts. Yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of guys that are just you can't get any feel for any consistent usage or anything like that. And with bad quarterback play, it's a problem. So I see this as a very low scoring game.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna pull up my list here. I did all the optimal plays. I deliver this guys in my 60 in my what am I saying? My fantasy front lines. If you haven't joined Patreon, patreon.com/FF Council, linked below. On paper, Kyle Pitts does have a good matchup this week. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you don't have a better tight end option, what are you going to do? Drake London, if you don't have a better wide receiver option. Desmond Ritter and Trevor Lawrence really got to step up here. And I don't know if being on the road and traveling is really going to help their cause. But if you have better quarterback options, obviously go with that. If you don't have better wide receiver options, I mean, you got to start Drake London. You got to start Calvin Ridley. And I really believe Calvin Ridley does have a bounce back week. You have two really down weeks. No way but up for him. Again, maybe it's a lift for them being out of the country, and maybe it's going to shock the system a little bit and say, hey, we're going to bounce back. So we got to think optimistic here for the weapons here. ATN's been doing relatively decent. Bigsby's got to get more integrated. He's not. I say I'm going to goal line carry, so I would bench him for the time being. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation, but Bijan, his carries are picking up. So I'm thinking that they're going to start using him a lot more.
I think it all depends a lot on game script for Bijan right now. So if they're in a close game, he'll be involved pretty heavily. But if they fall behind, if Jacksonville just suddenly goes out and gets a 17-point lead, they're going to abandon the run. That's what always happens. And so, but I don't really see that happening in this game. Again, I think this is going to be a close game all around. The over under on total points scored is 42.5. It's very low. And so, like I said, I'm not expecting much out of either team. Start them if you have to, but if you have another option on a better game, I would start that player over any of the players on this on this list. So,
all right, moving on to the next matchup here. We've got the Steelers on the road versus the Texans. The 1-2 Texans. They won a game last week. Against Jacksonville, we were just talking about here. 3-point favorite are the Steelers on the road here. I got a 42.5 over under at the time of this recording here. It's just when you look at Najee, I mean, the big question here is, are we starting Najee and Damian, two guys that we were high on? I want to take total credit here, credit here for my mistake, or what it's ownership, I said, or not even credit. Let's talk about this because when you look at the scenarios here, let's talk about it. Improved O-line with the Steelers, volume. There's no one else there. Jaylen Warren, yeah, I mean, he's more of a PPR guy, looks a little more explosive, but on paper, Tomlin likes his workhorse running backs. I mean, Najee had a great rookie year. Like I said, improved O-line. Kenny Pickett settled in now. Everything was trending towards Najee having a good year. And then I watched the tape, and he's not cutting. He's just running into piles. He had one good run, I think, for 12 yards-ish last game. They can't get to the red zone enough to give him the goal line work. And even if they do, he's getting stuffed. And you got Dameon Pierce. I mean, yes, we're right on Tank Dell. Bonus, CJ Stroud is stepping up, which is good, right? Our sleeper pick, Tank Dell, has emerged, which is good considering there's so much uncertainty at the wide receiver position, unless you have like Adams and Hill. But again, when you look at this, man, it's just like Dameon Pierce, you're a workhorse dude. Like, you got to do something. And again, here's the cool thing. Both these guys actually have a good matchup. So this is the week. This is literally the week for those running backs here. Obviously, Tank Dell's a start. I would say Pickens is a start as well here. What are your thoughts on kind of what I just said?
Yeah, the whole running back situation in the league is just gross overall. I mean,
Yes.
who's really dominating in the league right now outside of like CMC and Bijan's had a couple of good games, right? And that's that everyone else is either injured or just not performing. Again, when it comes to Najee, you look at it how he was doing at the end of last year. He was the number 4 overall running back. He was in the second half of last season. He
Right.
was doing really, really well. He had recovered from that foot injury he was dealing with in the first half. He's got all these improvements on the offensive line, second year quarterback play. Everything was trending up, and yet it seems like he's regressed. And he's not getting involved at all in the passing game either, which is just killing his
Right.
value because he always had that as well. So I mean, again, can you start him? I think in a number of cases, I have to start him. I mean, I don't have any other options. But geez, I mean, I don't know what's going on with these players. Um, I'm wondering how much the whole situation with Jonathan Taylor and players like Saquon Barkley and Tony Pollard only getting franchise tagged. I wonder how much that is really affecting this overall position. Everyone's like, well, what am I trying so hard for? What am I trying so hard for? Because they're not going to give me anything. So uh, it's just very disappointing and
Yeah.
very frustrating.
Very frustrating. But again, this is the week. So I'm going to go ahead and start them anyway, because I got Najee in one. I got Damien in another league. I'm just going to go ahead
Right.
and start them because this is the week where they have to do something. I'm going to closely
Right.
monitor this game and see what the heck is going on because I'm livid. And if they don't perform, I'm going to rip them one. I'm really going to rip one on social media, tag them and tell them to pick it up because this is absolutely ridiculous. They have to step it up. And I've had just about enough for these guys. Moving on to the next matchup here. We got the Rams at the Colts here. Rams 1-2. Colts are 2-1. 1.5 point favorite are the Colts. And in regards to this situation, I don't know if Richardson's probably not going to be back, is he? I mean, who knows? Gardner Minshew's slated to start, I think.
Yeah, I think he's still in concussion protocol. Usually, when they go in concussion protocol, they're out for 2 weeks. So I think that's going to be the case. So it is going to be Minshew. And I don't know what happened with the Rams last week. Well, I mean, I guess at the
Disaster.
end, the Rams looked all right because they did score 16 points at the end. They almost they were working on trying to come back into that game.
Yeah.
But certainly didn't look as good as they looked in the first 2 weeks. So I know that Cooper Kupp is not back yet. They're saying Cooper Kupp week 5. But I mean, when I look at the talent gap between these two, it looks like the Rams are more talented to me, right now. So I think this game could go either way. But I would be more inclined to start the Rams. I think this is going to be a good game for the Rams.
Yeah,
So
Nakua kind of came back down to reality. Didn't score a touchdown last week. 5 receptions, 72 yards. Tutu is the guy with the touchdown. I mean, who
yep.
would have thought? Like, if we're talking back in May, Tutu and Puka. Like, I mean, who would have thought, right? Like, we wouldn't have even thought that. And this is why, like, Williams as a running back, it's just unbelievable. Again, with this off, I've got no stock in any of these players here. And then when Kupp comes back, if he ever does come back, and he comes back healthy, I mean, they're really going to take a hit there with those wide receivers that have stepped up in the meantime. And that goes to show you that Kupp really isn't that good. It's totally a volume rapport thing. If you are fed, you will eat. And we'll get to that with the Chargers game as well when we're talking about this too. And we're talking a guy like Keenan Allen, which again, I think is overrated. Justin Herbert's the man. And so was Stafford that year where Cooper Kupp was being fed. It is a whole thing with volume. If you get fed, you eat, you put up fantasy points. And that's just the bottom line. So anyway, this one, again, it's going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to win this one. It's another coin toss type game, but I think the Rams have to bounce back here after that loss last week. It was a tough loss too. All right, next one here. We got the 0-3 Vikings. Tough loss to the Chargers last week, man. -3 favorite. I mean, how do you 0-3 versus 0-3? This is going to be like that Denver Bears game. It's like crap playing crap here, throwing crap at the wall, seeing what sticks. I mean, it's so weird when you look at a team like the Vikings, who are so good talent-wise when you look at the receivers. I mean, Addison Osborne's been looking pretty good. You got Kirk Cousins doing well in fantasy. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And the Panthers, with Thielen having that big game, do not expect that again. But if you got Thielen, I mean, maybe coming off a hot week, just don't expect, or maybe even sell high on Thielen if you need to address other positions. But man, oh man, I mean, I won't be watching this game. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, I think offensively, Minnesota's fine. You know, they're doing really good. I'm interested to see what Cam Akers' role is this week, but I wouldn't start him. You know, I mean, he didn't play last week, so we got to see what's going on with that. But as far as the offensive assets for Minnesota, you know, Cousins certainly you can start. Jefferson, of course. T.J. Hockenson, of course. I think Addison is also someone you can start,
Yeah.
and you know. Madison. I mean, sure, Madison was actually pretty good last week. So go ahead and start all those guys. On the Panthers, though, I don't know. I'm seeing that this is going to be a negative game script for them. And, you know, that if that's the case, then Adam Thielen's going to get fed again. He's going to get a lot of targets. So you can totally start him as a flex. I'd feel comfortable with that. But I don't really want to start anyone else on Carolina. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I got Thielen listed as a very easy matchup. I mean, Thielen's kind of the only guy I'd probably consider. I've got him listed as a
right.
relatively easy matchup. Bryce Young as well,
Right,
but you're not gonna start Bryce Young.
well, Chark also looked really good. Isn't Chark the other wide receiver on
Yeah,
this team? I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, he also looked really good. But last week Carolina threw the ball like 60 times. I mean, it was like an outlier kind of volume, kind of game. And I don't know. It could be that again this week. I don't really see this as a low volume game. Vikings defense can't stop anyone, so you know they're going to be able to score points. So
Chark,
it should be good.
the only reason Chark did well is well, Thielen had 11 receptions, 1 touchdown, 145 yards. Chark had 4 receptions. So, and he had that touchdown. That's the only reason that you're saying that, you know. So yeah, like we talked about it before, just watch the volume. It may not be there for Chark. Seems like Thielen is kind of that safety blanket right now. The best experience. Yeah, man. I don't know about this game. What do we have? What does Vegas have? This 45.5 is the over under. So it's not gonna be a
Yeah, that's pretty good.
yeah, the next one I think they've got as a lower scoring game, surprisingly, 40.5. We got the Bucs at the Saints here. Again, 2-1 versus 2-1 teams, and we've got the Saints that are -3. And is Kamara? No, Kamara's not back yet. I believe
Kamara is back. It
was he
is
back?
week 4, so he's back. And but who's the quarterback right now for the Saints? Because I know Carr is out. Carr is going to be out for a few
It's
weeks.
it's gonna be our friend Jameis Winston.
Oh
Coming back.
God. No wonder. Yeah, no wonder. Okay. Oh boy. 2 failed quarterbacks going head to head. It's gonna be terrible, people.
Are we concerned here? Olave and Mike Thomas. We should be a little concerned there. No, it's not as attractive right now for this week as as Derek Carr, but they got relatively easier matchup here.
Yeah, relatively, and they should be fine to start. I'm not going to bench either of those guys, but yeah, there's not a lot of faith in either of these offenses right now. You know, the Saints defense is pretty good, and so yeah, I would minimize my exposure on this game. This looks like a bust game to me. I'm not sure there's going to be a whole lot of production to go around, but you know, you Olave, Evans, Godwin, probably is Michael Thomas still healthy? I thought I heard he was like injured, but maybe
I think he's good. I think he's good to go. I didn't hear much about that. He's always
and I'd start Kamara. I'd start Kamara this week. He should be fine. You know, but I'm not expecting much out of this game. So
from what I'm hearing, he may receive a big role right off the bat. Alvin Kamara coming off fresh off the assault. So we'll see.
Everyone else in that backfield is injured. So yeah, I think he is going to get a full workload. So
he assaults people in public, and we'll see if he can assault the defenders here during the game. We'll see. All right, next game here starts and sits here. I mean, obviously, got to start A.J. Brown. But here's the thing, right? We see A.J. Brown shining and Smith not doing well.
Are we talking about, wait, I'm sorry. Are we talking about Philly, Washington here?
Yeah, sorry. Washington versus the Eagles here. 2-1
Okay.
Commanders versus the 3-0 Eagles. 7.5 point favorite are the Eagles. Should have introduced the show, the matchup. Again, when I look at this, we talk about Higgins having a bad week. We talk about Devontae Smith having a bad week. And I talked about this. When you draft these guys in the second or third round, they're not the alpha on the team. We see Jamar Chase now stepping up, and we see A.J. Brown. Now, there's games where, there's going to be a deep ball for Devontae Smith, and he goes off and he has a big game. But he's not the one. This is why I kind of faded. This is not why This is why I actually told you to fade Devontae Smith and Higgins, because they're going to be volatile. So obviously A.J. Brown's a start here. Commanders, man, I've got 0 stock, but I got McLaurin slated as an easy matchup here. Sure. Brian Robinson, I don't know. Do you trust Robinson? I got, it's hard to trust him too now.
The running back position is so gross right now. You kind of
It
have to
is.
start him. So yeah, I mean, you if you have him, chances are he's probably going to need to be in your lineup.
I got him as a
So
tough matchup, though. He does have a tough matchup against Eagles rush defense. So,
yeah,
but
I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Philly's going to blow this one out. Sam Howell is not good, as we all expected him to not be good. So I think advantage goes to Philly here. It's probably going to be a good game for Swift for the ground game, because I think they're going to be well ahead and they're just going to go to
yeah,
the ground in the second half. Yeah, and talking about those wide receiver 2 options, when you're playing behind the alpha, you're just going to be more volatile in your usage. It's going to
yeah,
be way too up and down. I mean, T. Higgins is the perfect example, where he's gotten 2 goose eggs and a 23-point game in his first 3 games. I mean, it's like that's what you get with these guys when they're playing behind someone who gets like a 30% target share, which is what Jamar Chase does. So, that's why you don't want to roster those guys and instead go after other wide receiver ones when you're picking out your players. But
yeah. It's been a crazy disaster. Even like wide receiver ones are getting their butt kicked this year. But I mean, when you look at these guys, I mean, it was pretty obvious. You try to fade things that seem like obvious things that you want to avoid, and T. Higgins has been a disaster. And by the way, we'll get to that Bengals game. I want to talk something about that Bengals game in a second.
sure.
All right, so next one here, this is where we got to come back down to reality here. We got 3-0 Miami versus the 2-1 Bills, divisional game, minus 3-point favorite are the Bills, being at home. And this is where we're going to see if Devin Chain's the real deal. We're going to see if Tyreek and Tua are the real deal, because they face a real defense this year. It's going to be a tight game. Now, I don't have I do have the over. I got a 53.5. Still,
Whoa.
Vegas, what do you have them at 53.5 for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean,
this is going to be a great game.
well, they're assuming that the Bills defense is going to completely shut down and Miami is going to do what they did to Denver last week. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that I think the Bills defense know what happened last week, and I think they're going to step up and push a little bit harder. They got to defend Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's kind of a tall mountain to climb here, but
yeah, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. And Tyreek did that last week without Waddle. Waddle wasn't even on the field. So I think Waddle's going to be back this week. I haven't heard though. But even so,
Yeah.
you can't. You can only contain. You're not going to stop him. You can only contain. But like I said, Miami's big play offense. And so I'm excited for this. This is going to be the best game of the week, man. There's going to be so many fantasy points scored in this game. It's going to be amazing. So
unless
start everyone. Yeah,
exactly. We're gonna have to see if Devin Chain's the real deal. He will not put up a 50-point game. I got Waddle saying good chance he's going to return from the concussion this week, and if so, I mean, if you got him, start him. But again, I'm not high on wide receiver 2s here. And again, with the Bills, I got Cook as a good running back matchup this week. They should run wild. The Bills should. Gabe Davis, even if you want him as a good flex play here. I think he scored a touchdown or so last week. All good options here. And I'm thinking of starting Josh Allen this week. So obviously I got to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely start Josh Allen.
No, because the thought process, this is that one league where I have Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen.
Oh, God, start Josh Allen.
I'm starting Josh, but this was a question mark week 1, right? I'm like, Trevor Lawrence. Now it's kind of things are clearing up for me. So there we have it. All right, let's go here. And people are saying, how do you have both of those guys? Well, I drafted very early in the league, okay, in May. So here we go here. Bengals, and who do we have? Bengals 1-2, 2.5-point favorite versus the 1-2 Titans. There's nothing Titans about the Tennessee Titans this year. The Bengals look like little pussycats. They don't look like the Bengals. I don't know, man. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase did show some promise last game. Jamar Chase finally got into a bit of a groove. And what I wanted to share in regards to this one is you had Jamar Chase and you needed points. And I was playing against Jamar Chase. I needed under 30 points. And I believe he put up a 26 or 27 point. So it worked out for both of us. I mean, it worked out.
Yeah. That very good.
Thank you, Jamar Chase, for not doing too
Yeah.
well. It was near the end of the game, and I was like up by 5 points. And I was like, oh my God, like it's getting so close. And I think it's like they started running the ball because they had a lead. They kicked a field goal. I'm like, okay, good. They're padding their lead. And I'm like, Rams, slow, move down the field. So they throw a bomb down the field, and it's like, oh my God, it's so close. And they score a touchdown. I'm like, okay, I'm hoping they don't throw to Jamar Chase down because there's 5 points, right? There's a 5 point. And sure enough, they ran the ball, worked the clock. And anyway, the game was over and I
Yeah.
won by 5 points. And that was a week, man. I just had to win. I need to win this week. I mean, everyone did so well, but to lose by 5 points, I had Laporta go off, Tank Dell, Justin Herbert in that league. And I'm just like, I got to win. And I won. So it was good.
Right. That's great. That's great. Yeah. So, it was good to see that Joe Burrow was able to get out there, although he is hobbled, man. He is not himself right now with that leg injury of his. But really, I think the Bengals are just going to blow this one out. I don't see this as being a close game. I think Tennessee, I mean, Tannehill just looks awful right now. And
Yep.
so I tell you what, if you're looking for a streaming defense this week, I'd go with Cincinnati, man. I'd play the Cincinnati defense. But Tennessee's in trouble.
Definitely.
Henry looks bad. And Hopkins isn't he injured? I'm not
I
sure,
don't have
but
an injury designate. I think he's good, but either way,
yeah, I think he's good too. But still, just not looking good. Tennessee is not looking good right now, and so I think Bengals are going to take care of business and get this one.
they
Get
need
another
to.
win.
They need to cover the $500 million they paid to Joe Burrow. I mean,
Exactly.
you got to be at batting 500 here. 2-2 at least here.
Yes, for sure.
Obviously Mixon's a start. Chase, like I said, I feel comfortable starting him. Higgins, I don't feel comfortable starting. But again, coming off a bad
If
week.
you drafted Higgins, chances are you have to start him because you took him in like the third round. So
Yeah.
that's what you get. You gotta start these volatile options. He could be great. He could do nothing. It's so that's kind of what he does. So
We talked about Henry. We also talked about Henry possibly having his sunset year, and I said it's a boomer bust year, and I kept warning and warning and warning. I've only got him in one league. I mean, he won me last week. This week, again, not last week, the week before I did good, had a touchdown. I hope that he comes back. I mean, he came out.
Yeah, you got to start him. I mean, really, you're going to have to start him. But yeah, I mean, he's 30, dude. I mean, come on. These these running backs don't last that long, and he's had massive volume over the past 4 or 5 seasons. So this looks like a sunset year for him. But I still want him to do good. I still love King Henry. He's great.
Yeah,
Right.
he came out and
But
said he wanted to prove everybody wrong that this market for running backs needs to get paid. He was going to make a statement.
Right.
And I haven't seen the statement yet. I haven't seen anything yet.
hard to do when you're 30, man. It's hard to do at age 30. So
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next matchup here, we got the Ravens 2-1 at the 2-1 Browns. We got the Browns here listed as a -3 favorite. By the way, the Bengals and Titans game was a 41.5 over under. Vegas assuming it's going to be a low scoring game. This one as well, low scoring. Browns defense has been relatively good. Lamar Jackson, I believe this week, man, he's got it in tough, right? I mean, Cleveland's defense is no slouch. So Lamar Jackson, man, if you're a Lamar Jackson owner, he's got I'd be a little concerned against Cleveland's defense, wouldn't you?
Yeah, this is going to be a low-scoring game. This is a divisional game in the AFC Central. Just not a lot of fantasy points to go around. So you start just the studs and sit everybody else. But the Browns running back, he did really good last week. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Ford,
but
Jerome Ford.
Yeah, Ford, the guy coming in.
He had a tough matchup, and he stepped up.
Yeah. So he did good. I'm great. Go ahead and start him again. You probably need to if you have him.
Yep.
But like I said, I wouldn't expect much of any significant production from anybody on either of these teams. I think the defenses are both good options too, because they're both really good defenses. So that's where I'm at with those guys.
I'm just gonna pull up. Oops, I'm hitting the buttons here. You just gotta pull up here. When you look at Cleveland last week, because Hunt is back, right? So he had 5 attempts to 10 attempts, right? But that was his first week back. I'm just wondering how much Hunt is going to dip into Jerome Ford when he's fully integrated. Like I said, 5 attempts, 13 yards, 2.6 yards per carry, 5.5 fantasy points compared to 19.1 fantasy points, 10 attempts. So Jerome Ford had double the attempts. Hunt did, right? Pierre Strong even had his share 6 attempts. So it's a bit of a committee now, but I'm just assuming here that Kareem Hunt gets worked more. I don't feel comfortable starting Kareem Hunt either way, but you never know.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him.
They might
Yeah.
say, "Hey, man, Kareem Hunt, your number's up here. Let's go." We don't know, right? It's a bit of
and he's an older another older running back. This team let him go last year because they're like, you're not any good anymore. And so, he's an over the hill quarterback,
he's just
or
depth.
over the hill running back. He probably will get some passing work this week, but I just don't see enough volume to make him any sort of fantasy viable option. So I would keep him on your bench if you have him.
He was great back in like what, in 2016, 17 or something like that. But yeah, time.
Oh, even like 20, I mean, even anytime before last season, he was pretty good. So
Yeah,
2021, 2020, he was a really good option. Mostly because he was so involved in the passing game. So, I
he's
still see he's going to get some volume there, but he's not an effective runner anymore. And so, his opportunities are limited. I'd have to see him get at least 15 touches and targets total to want to consider putting him in my lineup as a flex. But until that happens, no way, not a chance.
he's there for depth, and that's it. All right,
Yeah.
next one here. We've got this is a
Oh,
fun one.
the winner bowl here, right here.
Okay, so we got
What, Denver?
but here's the thing. Imagine being the odds makers for this one, okay? Hey guys, we got the Broncos who got smoked 1,000-0 last week to the Bears who are 0-3. So Broncos 0-3, Bears 0-3. And here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. The Broncos on the road who just got smoked are the
Right.
3.5-point favorite here.
Oh, jeez.
How do you I just want to know what the logic and the thought process here, Jim, because can you explain the are they just thinking that like they got embarrassed so bad that they have to like what's the logic here that they would even be the favorite on the road here?
Well, you'd think the Denver defense has to be breathing a sigh of relief that they get to face the Bears this week. I mean, after what happened last week. I mean, this just has bust game written all over it. I just think it's going to be lousy fantasy performances across the board.
You never know. Hold on a second. Both
What?
of these guys, the quarterbacks, both have great matchups versus position. So Fields has a great matchup. So who's to say that he doesn't light up the Broncos or vice versa, right?
Because the Bears aren't Miami, man. They don't have the talent level that Miami has. It's not going to repeat. I mean, this just seems like, who do you even want to start from either of these? I'm just running through the names. I'm like maybe Judy, maybe Sutton.
Javante's got a good matchup. Javante's got like I said, on paper they all have good matchups, right? So they have to perform. Like someone's got to do something. Like Justin Fields, I told you to avoid this guy because he hasn't thrown over 2,300 yards. He's got a good matchup. So this is a really telling tale. Guys like Najee Harris, Damian Pierce, guys like the Bears, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, for example, they've got to step it up because on paper they've got good matchups. So we'll see what they're made of this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just not excited about starting anybody from either of these teams. But chances are you got to start a few of them. Like I got to start Javonte in one of my leagues. So hopefully he doesn't. I'd like to see him get a touchdown. That'd be really nice to see. And yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson, he's been halfway decent, man. He's the QB8 through 3 weeks. Yeah. So, that's not bad. He's playing better than he was last year. But again, this is just, I mean, one of them has to win. Maybe it'll just end up in a tie. They'll be 0-3-1, both of them. But I would not expect much from either of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas has us at 46.5. They're thinking
that's pretty high scoring. That's a lot of points.
Like
that's
kind
of surprising.
The defenses are weak, so I'm assuming that's what they're thinking. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next one here. 1-2. We got again, now we're into the 4:00 game here. 1-2 Raiders at the 1-2 Chargers. 5.5-point favorite are the Chargers. I think the Chargers run through these guys. Now let's debate here. Let's have a discussion here because this needs to be addressed. This needs to be talked about. Mike Williams is out for the season. Knee injury, as I said, he would be. Now I did a post on Twitter. People ripped on me saying I wish injury. I'm like, no, I just simply said that based on his injury past, he's going to get hurt. And I was right. Fire up Quentin Johnson. Now, a lot of people, based on what we've seen and on the depth chart and on the volume, are leaning towards Josh Palmer simply because he's got the rapport. He's been shown to be the guy. I'm not touching him. I do not believe in Josh Palmer. I think he sucks. They were hurt last year. He kind of stepped up in some games, but he was never a guy that shined. Right? I got to maybe pull up the stats here to get a full deep dive on Josh Palmer, but I have no faith in him because they wouldn't have drafted Quentin Johnson round 1. So if you're looking at ceiling, you're looking at upside, you're looking at the best wide receiver on that team, it's Quentin Johnson. He just hasn't got the volume. Keenan Allen's 31. He's just getting fed by a great quarterback consistently. I don't want to take away credit from Keenan Allen. He's been doing really well, but Quentin Johnson's the alpha. They're the ones, they drafted him early. He's going to have to step up. I'm going to go ahead and just start him. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to go all in and just have faith and say he's going to be the one on this team. I know I'm a little.
I wouldn't do that, counselor, man.
You
got to see. I mean, this is the opportunity, right? This is where Quentin Johnson, you got to prove that you're worth that first round pick, right? You've got to go out there. You've got to perform. But until I actually see it, I'm not going to just go and put him in my starting lineup. I'm keeping him on my bench.
Tank Dell. We had this debate with Tank Dell the week he broke out. I sat him because of you. I was like, he's like, no, I wouldn't start Tank Dell. I'm like,
well, that's Jim. Because the prior week he only got like 3 targets. I'm like, I can't put someone out on the field that's only getting 3 targets.
I was like, that week, I think it was week 2, you twisted my arm like this, like, don't start Tank Dell. I'm like, I gotta start him. Jim literally grabbed my arm like this and he was twisting.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it is a prime opportunity for him to finally show that, I am worth that first round pick. And he's a prototypical receiver. I mean, he's like a 6'4", 220 kind of guy. I mean, he's a big guy. And so I hope to see him out there. I hope to see him perform, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it in the first 3 weeks. So, targets are earned when you're a receiver, your targets are earned because that quarterback trusts you. And I don't know if Herbert trusts him yet. So that's one of the big things. I gotta see it first before I'm willing to put him in my lineup. But it is, like I said, dude, step up and do it. And Josh Palmer is nothing more than a 3. He's a wide receiver 3. That's his ceiling, is wide receiver 3. So I'm not concerned about him. But man, Quentin Johnson has to step up and show that he can be that player. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We need to see more snap counts as well. That's another thing. We need to see more snap counts. We need to see him out there. We need to see more targets for the Chargers, and we need to see him step up. But I'm a big believer in Quentin Johnson. I really am. And we're going to have to see. I mean, that's what
I want him to do it. Do it. Come on, Quentin Johnson. Get out there and show us, right? Show us how you do it. Now, on the other side of the ball, isn't Garoppolo injured? I thought Garoppolo got like a concussion or something.
He got banged up, man. That guy's a diva. I don't know what
happened. I see that this looks like a blowout game to me. This looks like the Chargers are going to blow out the Raiders. Of course, I would start Adams, and I would still start Josh Jacobs, even though he's been terrible so far this year. But he's getting the volume. So, but that's and actually, Jacoby Myers has been pretty good too.
Yeah,
I guess I'd start those 3 guys.
Yeah, he's going to be on concussion protocol, from what I hear. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, so who's the backup?
I don't even look at the backups. To be honest, I mean, we should know this stuff. We don't care because I have no Raiders stock. So
right, but
pull that
but I just think I think Chargers are going to take care of business here. They're gonna blow out the Raiders, and good for them because they started out 0-2. Oh, they started out 0-2, and
you guys got to help us.
They managed to win the matchup against 0-2 teams last week. So
hold on, I'm pulling this up here because I haven't looked that far. I don't even care about the Raiders that much here to look. It's going to be Brian Hoyer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. I mean,
geez.
I mean, really, outside of Adams and Jacobs, I don't know if I could start Jacoby, but Jacoby's been pretty good in the games he's played in. So
Quentin Johnson to the moon, bottom line. So if you want upside, go Quentin Johnson. If you want a safer floor, go Palmer. But again, you don't draft a guy in the first round to sit him, especially with million. They should have started, this guy from the beginning, but they're easing him in. Like, just get him the ball. Like, Herbert throws more than anybody else. That's why I'm excited about Quentin. So it's a great opportunity. He's gonna be on a lot. He's gonna be on the field a lot.
Right.
All right, let's go here. We got New England here, 425 game, 1-2 New England at 2-1 Dallas. Dallas -7 favorite. Dallas should just stop New England easily here. I don't trust any New England players here. starting this week. I told you it would be a committee there, and sure enough, with Stevenson, a lot of people are regretting drafting Stevenson now. We talked about a mess with all running backs. People are just coming at me with Najee, dude. Everybody's the best. How about Stevenson? How about all these other guys that are crap in the bed?
Right.
And you got Dallas. I mean, that Rico Suave guy. What's his name? Rico Nico.
Rico Dowdle, I think is what his
Rico
name is.
Suave is getting some work. Unfortunately, our Deuce Vaught is not. He was a stash anyway. It's just unfortunate. I mean, Pollard has proven that he is staying healthy. He's again in a year that's been crazy at running back. He's been doing well. Is he going to last? I really doubt him and Christian McCaffrey, the way that they're running, are going to last all season. I could be wrong, but we'll see. But Dallas takes this one, and I've got it at 43.5 is the over/under. Dallas neutralizes the Patriots here easily.
Yeah, and I think last week Dallas was just overlooking Arizona. They're like, "Oh, we're going to stomp this team. They're so terrible." And then Arizona actually came out to play, and they got caught flat-footed. So I think that's pretty much why they lost the game last week. But that's not going to happen again this week. I think Dallas is too good a team to pass up. This looks like it should be a blowout, but the New England defense is pretty darn good. So. They might be able to contain Dallas to a certain extent, but I think it's going to be all Dallas here. So start your Dallas players. Pretty much sit New England. I mean, who do you really want to start for New England? I mean, I guess Ramadre. That's like the only player you could start. And again, even though Zeke had a lot of carries last week, he just can't do anything with it. He's not good anymore. I still believe that Ramadre is the lead back in this backfield and is going to get most of the fantasy production in this backfield.
For everybody's sake that drafted Stevenson, I hope that's correct. And yeah, I mean, Mac Jones does have a really tough matchup versus Dallas. I mean, these defenses are for real. Anyone playing the 49ers defense, anyone playing the Dallas defense, anyone playing Cleveland's defense, these defenses, anyone playing Buffalo's defense, these defenses are for real. So we're gonna have to, that's why I'm really just interested to see what Tua does this week with Buffalo, because I think that defense is going to be solid.
Yeah, I know. Tua's been great. Jeez. Well, I mean, that team's exciting. That's the most exciting team in football right now is the Miami. So, just love that offense. It's so much fun to watch, and holy crap, they can score points.
Speaking of scoring points, how about a team that really can't do really well? The Cardinals 1-2 at the 49ers 3-0, minus 14. This is a big spread here with the 49ers. 425 game, 43.5 is the over-under. 49ers take this. I mean, that's pretty obvious to me. Again, people to watch, obviously Christian McCaffrey. I'm not sure if Ayuk, how he's looking coming back. Is he good to go? Debo obviously starting. I think those guys get banged up. I mean, everyone from the 49ers gets banged up at some point or other. I see Ayuk here. His shoulder was bothering. He participated in practice back on Monday. I mean, he's good. Missed the week 4 game. Extra. I think he'd be good to go. Just his shoulder is
we'll just wait and see. Wait and see what happens.
Watch AU because he could be back.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to sit him first week back from an injury like that. But yeah, I mean, 49ers start them all. They're good. And then Arizona, I mean, James Conner looks all right. I'd start him. Marquise seems to be getting some pretty decent volume, so he might be a decent flex play. But that's pretty much it. And Ertz had been getting good volume, but last week they really shut him down. He didn't get, I think he got like 3 targets last week. So that's really volatile. I don't know if I would trust to start him, but that's pretty much all you can do with Arizona. I got
Ertz listed as a tougher matchup this week, obviously.
Yeah. So I wouldn't play him.
Like I said, once you see the 49ers, whoever's playing against them, assume it's a tough matchup. Okay. The defense is for real. All right, last matchup. Well, 2 more matchups here. We don't have the double header on Monday night. So that's kind of
good. I hate that doubleheader. I hate it.
It is kind of annoying because it's like where I'm out on Monday with the family. I'm like, oh, there's a 7:00 game. Oh, that kind of snuck in there. Or like you're watching this one and the other one starts. It's like now I gotta leave this one. Like I kind of like Monday and it's a good one. You got a banger of a game and you sit down, you get your popcorn, whatever your beverage of choices, and you're set for Monday night. But when you got the 2, you're like, I got to go back to this one. They were at halftime. I got just let me focus on one game and leave me alone. Let me have my beverage.
Right. Yeah. But man, here's another blowout, man. I mean, Kansas City at the Jets. How are the Jets getting prime time here? They should not be getting a prime time game.
Aaron Rodgers.
Just embarrassing. I mean, it's just
Aaron Rodgers though. It's supposed to be Aaron Rodgers. That's
when they made the schedule. It was Aaron Rodgers. But Chiefs 10-point favorites, over under 42.5.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are going to just stomp the Jets here. I mean, there's just, I mean, and as far as a streaming defense, man, start Kansas City defense actually has looked pretty good this year. I would totally start the Kansas City defense against this
Yeah.
offense. You
Yeah.
know?
For sure. Good matchup there. Now, this is the $1 billion question here. Are we starting Brees Hall?
Oh God.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I don't want to start him.
it's
But
it's prime time.
in one of my leagues, I have to. I have to start him. You know, he was my 3rd round pick. I got to start him. So I don't really have a choice. But I'm just hoping that this team says, okay, we're going to become a run first team now, and let's start scheming for short passes, screen passes, and run at that defense until you just wear them down. But I don't think they have it in them to do that. They're ugh. Yeah, I mean, Garrett Wilson also just not excited about starting him, maybe as a flex option, but you kind of have to start Wilson and Brees just based on where you took them on the draft board. But geez, it's just terrible.
Rashee Rice is a flex play here. Obviously, Kelsey, Mahomes, obviously, and then there's the Jets. Like I said, on paper, Brees Hall's got it in tough. On paper, Brees Hall's looked rough. But I mean, maybe like I said, I think it's prime time. Salah's gonna come out and say, "Hey, man, let's focus on our strength. Let's run the ball." And Brees Hall goes off for a big run. But again, I don't know. It is prime time, so there's a lot of eyes watching. When there tends to be in that situation, there's a lot more pressure to do well. But again, no matter how good you are, Zach Wilson just can't get it done. And Salah in that offense is getting a lot of criticism. I mean, you got to find a solution here, find a backup. I even heard just recently that Colin Kaepernick wrote a letter, I think it was to the Jets, saying, "Hey man, like, I want to get on your practice squad." I'm like, dude, you haven't played. You know how rusty that guy would be? I mean, he hasn't played since 2016. I can't even imagine. Like, he was never that.
I bet he would outplay Zach Wilson.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I heard Matt Ryan also called him. Carson Wentz, hey, you're looking for a quarterback? I'm like, no, you guys should probably just stay home. But
Slim pickings, eh?
Yeah. And Rashi get like 7 targets last week or something like that?
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I mean, that's nice to see. Again, targets are earned. If Rashi's getting more targets, that means Mahomes is trusting him more, and that's great to see. So I'm not sure I'd be willing to start him yet, but it's very positive what I'm seeing right now with his usage. So that's good. And as far as on Kansas City, really, it's just Mahomes and Kelsey. Those are the 2 that you can start. It's so hard to bet on one of these other receivers because really all you're doing is you're hoping for a touchdown if you start any of the other receivers because he just spreads it around so much. So that just makes it tough. But Mahomes and Kelsey should have a great game.
All right. And I think Taylor Swift will be there. A lot of hype, all this garbage with Taylor Swift. It's all media. It's all marketing. I mean, I heard the Chiefs sales are up with this Taylor Swift, like
sure.
jersey with Kelsey. I mean, just sheep riding this train and Swift. What do they call Swift?
I just can't wait for Taylor Swift's breakup song about Travis Kelce. That's what I'm waiting for. That's the risk you take when you date Taylor Swift, Trevor. I'm sorry, Kelsey. That's the risk you're taking. She's going to write a song about you, and it's not going to be a good song. So
they're going to make a remix of that song. I'm only gonna break your heart. That song. Anyway, they're going to remake that thing. She's going to remake that song with Kelsey's name in it. Anyway, too much of these Swifters or whatever they're Swifties.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so ridiculous, man. But again, hey, this could be good for fantasy because it's bringing in a younger demographic, and maybe more of these people gravitate to fantasy. So, hey, it could be a good thing for all of us.
I wouldn't count on it. I know a couple of Swifties, and I just don't think it'll be that won't be the thing.
They're gonna want to own a piece of Kelsey in their fantasy team. So they're gonna literally go Mahomes, Kelsey, Rashee Rice. Their whole team's gonna be
sure.
But their bye week is gonna be screwed. So. All right, next week, next matchup, last one, we got the Monday Nighter. And again, we talked about this before the show. I'm not excited about this matchup here. Seahawks and Giants. You're like, I'm excited about the Seahawks. 2-1. I mean, they're a decent team, right? I mean, you got some fantasy relevance there. Obviously,
they got some good offensive pieces there. And I don't know if Saquon's going to be back this week.
Neither do I haven't seen anything on that. I don't got the update.
Yeah, he's got that ankle injury. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can count on it. That's the thing, man. When you're setting your lineups, this is the Monday game. You know, if Saquon doesn't play, you got to have a pivot.
Yeah.
So I would just try to just figure it out without Saquon this week and count on him for next week. I think he'll be back by next week. But Seahawks offense looks pretty good. You know, outside of that, week one, they didn't look good, but they've looked good since then. So I'm all in on starting your Seahawks. I think they're going to be this. This looks like a blowout to me. You know, the Giants are not good. They are not good, and with no Saquon, they're even worse. So
it's weird. I mean, you draft Hyatt with your third round, third round pick, and he's just not getting any volume. It's crazy when you don't utilize such great young talent when you don't have any other wide receiving options, right?
Are you talking about Charbonnet?
No,
Jalen. Well, Charbonnet has been seeing some increased volume and usage each week, which is good. It's a progression. You know, he's a rookie, so
I was talking about Jalen.
That's positive, but he's not ready to be started yet.
No, I was talking, first of all, yes, Charbonnet he had 9 rushes last week, but again, Walker seems to be the guy. But what I'm talking about is Jalen Hyatt. You draft him in the third round,
Hyatt,
receiver, and they're not utilizing their receiver. So I got to pull up the, who are they using there at the Giants? Like, who is their number one guy? They lost 30-12 last week.
I think it's Slate. I think Slayton's their number one. I don't even know. I don't even think you can call any of the receivers a number one. There's no number one on that team.
But the thing is, Paris Campbell, like, that guy sucks. 6 receptions. I mean, that's why Waller got 3 receptions. I mean, you're not utilizing Waller. You know, Slayton got 3 receptions. Brightwell, like, who's that guy? Like, 2 receptions. Paris Campbell, 6. Robinson, why is that? Wan'Dale Robinson? Like, it's just a slew. It's just a disaster at wide receiver here. Like, why not use your young dynamic guy in Jalen Hyatt? You invested a 3rd-round pick. I mean, why not go with someone who's got some upside? All these bottom feeders are just not going to get it done for you. This is what I don't understand with teams, right? Like, I don't know, man. I just get frustrated. It's like you're leaving potential talent on the bench, is not giving him a shot. So, yeah, I mean, Walker's a start here. Geno, if you don't have a better quarterback. Daniel Jones, I mean, he could have some.
I wouldn't start Daniel Jones, man. I wouldn't start anybody on the Giants right now. I mean, there's just nobody fantasy worthy on the Giants.
They're a disaster, man.
It's pretty bad. And, I thought Waller was going to be the number one. They're not even utilizing Waller as the number one, and he should be. Because he is clearly the most talented player on that receiving core, but they're not utilizing him at all. So
being said, on paper, and I want to say it on paper, Daniel Jones does have a good matchup versus position. So unless you have a better option, go with that. If not, Daniel Jones, if you're desperate, maybe for DFS as well. Man, that's a lot of matchups, man. It's a long matchup. That's why we timestamped this to go to a particular matchup. But man, it's a lot to cover, but we get people hyped up, man. That's the main thing. Get you guys.
Yeah, and next week is the bye week start. So that's going to be challenging. I know the Chargers are off. I don't know who else is off next week, but make sure if you've got Herbert that you've got a quarterback to pivot to for next week, and maybe pick up that quarterback now if you don't have one already. So
right. All right, guys, we're out. NFL Week 4 preview here. Your starts and sits, start them, sit them here, covered here for you. Jim, thanks for coming on as always, and good luck in Week 4. Go smash it.
All right. Good luck with you too. Good luck out there, everybody. Let's win Week 4. Yes, do it.
We're out.